Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? My name's Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me, as always, was Pop and Ricardo.
What's up?
Almost the end of the week.
It is.
It's Friday. So that means, well, for you, that means nothing because you work on the weekends.
Yeah.
But for me,
That's true.
I am going to sit on my couch and do nothing but engorge myself in football.
Sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, sounds always.
Does that include college football?
Sometimes depends on what my wife lets me do.
I tried watching college football a bit this year for a week, and I just wasn't a fan.
It's always 1 week. You know what it is? You got nothing to root for.
Yeah.
You got to bet on the games. Then you're going to be into it.
I think the games I'll watch games for strictly college prospects, like NFL prospects.
That's what I was going to say. In 3 months, you'll be watching a heck of a lot of college football.
Like, I actually watched a couple.
Not 3 months. In 3 to 4 weeks, you'll be watching a heck of a lot of college football, getting ready for.
Yeah, I probably will. Like, remember when Trevor Lawrence was at Clemson? Like, I used to watch Clemson a couple of times. Burrow at LSU was ridiculous. That whole team was ridiculous, but I enjoyed watching those teams. I watched a little bit of Bama sometimes for that. So
Mac Jones.
Every once in a while, it was not
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. No,
no,
not really.
Statistically, the best Alabama quarterback of all time.
I guess you could say that. But yeah. But if there's nothing that might affect the NFL, I'm probably not going to watch it.
Okay, fair enough. You definitely got to gamble.
Yeah, maybe I should. Are you telling me to gamble?
1,000%.
Don't tell me to gamble, because I will.
Because you will. Your gambles aren't even like. It was one. My brother, Brandon. He got. I guess he put $100 bet on a parlay this Sunday, because he just had the money and he was like, in the account already. And he was like, just laying around. He's like, all right, I'll do that. He won it. And he got like 300.
What did he do for? Was it a parlay?
Yeah, but I think he did like a tiered payout or whatever, so it was less. But he got 300, and he was like, "Oh, should I put all of it on the next week?" I'm like, "No, this is you're getting addicted now. This is what's it's 3
double or nothing.
He doubles or nothing. Yeah. So anyway, the season is coming to a close for fantasy football. We are headed into the fantasy playoffs. This is the last regular season episode for your fantasy football team. So if you're trying to get in the playoffs this weekend, good luck. Good freaking luck.
There's 2 leagues that I'm not mathematically eliminated in, but I'm eliminated.
What about the tough league here?
Oh, we're in that.
Are we gonna make it?
Let me see. Well, I picked up Raiders defense
We're
for
the
us.
6.
They got 10 points.
All right, we just got to get a win and we're in. All right.
Even if we lose this week, I think we could still be in. But if we win, we're definitely in.
So, good news. Yeah. But anyway, so you got to get a win this week. We're going to give you some starts and sits for the last week of the fantasy regular season, week 14, and help you on your merry way to get into the fantasy playoffs. And next week becomes the 3 most important weeks of your entire season. And half of you will be eliminated just in the first week. But anyway, before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below any questions you may have for us.
Yeah, like who should I stat? Zach Moss and Naheem Hines.
Zach Moss all day. The corpses of the Bills' backfield, both of them.
Zach Moss is on the Colts.
That's what I'm saying. Both came from the Bills' backfield.
Oh, yeah.
In some way, shape, or form, they touched the Bills' backfield.
And the Colts are on a bye this week, so.
Yeah, that's a fact. Would you still start Zach Moss over Naheem Hines, even on a bye?
I'd say yes. 0 is better than negative.
0 is better than negative. Oh, man. All right, let's give you some starts and sits and conclude your week. We are done with trade target shows, so there will not be a 4th episode. I was trying to think of something to do to replace that 4th episode, and I actually got a really cool idea, but I did not want to execute it this year. So
too much work?
It's a little bit extra work. But it's like, we do ranking shows in the off season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would we not do a ranking show in the regular season?
That is true. That's actually a good idea.
So
that would
I was
require
like,
a lot of work, though.
Definitely should add that into next season. But for this year, I haven't even completed my friggin' rankings for this week, so I definitely got to do that.
I haven't done that either.
But anyway, so we're going to give you our starts and sits for this week. Guys that we like, guys that we don't like, and try to help you get that dub that you so desperately need for the fantasy playoffs this week, or trying to get a bye week. The only 2 scenarios that I see are you're trying to get a bye week where you need to win in fantasy. You're trying to get a bye week, or you're trying to make the playoffs. Those are the only things that should matter. If you're out of the playoffs, this game shouldn't matter to you unless you're trying to spoil somebody's hopes and dreams. And if you're in the playoffs and everything's already locked up and you're good, or you can't get the 1 seed and you're already in the playoffs, then this week's just a preparation week for next week. But
our needs every inch dynasty league when I'm 12-1, and the next best team is 8-5.
Shut the frick up, all right? I think I.
Let's see what Morgan's team is in that league.
Oh, shut up! I don't want to talk about 4-9. I tanked though in that league. So I was tanking in another league, and I ended up 5-8. So I think I'm doing a pretty horrible job at tanking. But
you suck at tanking. Is that 10-man band?
No, that is the Fantasy Champs League. I am tied currently for last with the lowest score. So if I lose this week, I'm in. Maybe I should just. I didn't want to actively tank. I was going to try. But maybe I should just pull everyone out this week.
Oh, I get the first round bye in the Fantasy Champs.
See, you know what the worst part about this PPR league? I started Ben and Swarnick.
Are we talking Fantasy Champs?
The Champs League. I started Ben Skoranek from the Los Angeles Rams because I didn't have anyone else to play. It was either Russell Gage, Jalen Tolbert, or Ben Skoranek. I don't even know how to say your name, bro.
Well, if you were really tanking, you would have done Jalen Tolbert.
Yes. And so I started, I didn't think I was going to get nothing. 15 points, 8 targets, 7 catches. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I end up 6-8. I hope I don't.
You're too good of a winner. That's how you spin it.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I found this dumb Patriots hoodie today. I was looking for like a Pat Patriot hoodie to put on my shirt, send somebody for Christmas. It's gonna be. Oh yeah. It'll be clean. But there was another hoodie that I found, and it's just a picture of the old Patriots like silver helmet, and it says "Wicked Winners," and I was like,
"That's so Patriot."
Did you have to be like so Boston?
The Wicked Winners.
It's too much New England.
Yeah.
Once.
That's why I like Bill and Brady and
the
old Pats, because they were wicked winners.
But anyway, let's get to starts. And we'll start with number 1, Donta Foreman at Seattle. Rick refuses to talk about Foreman, even though he's, the running back 18 since Christian McCaffrey got traded.
Mid.
Well, fair enough. I don't think he's going to be a starting running back next year. But right now, he is. So when McCaffrey got traded, Donta Foreman took over kind of the 1 spot. It was like a split. He did get injured at some point, but he had 16, 31, 4, 19, 2, and 11 in the time that he's had. So he had a game where he what is with the games with the 43 snap percentage and the 39 snap percentage?
I think that's just because
I know he got hurt in one of the games and had to leave. But I can't remember which one it was.
Chuba came back in week. What week was that? Week 9, I think. So
Yeah,
it might have
something
been
like that.
from Chuba, but I don't know.
Well, either way,
Maybe he got hurt.
he's still getting like a lot of opportunity on the ground. He doesn't provide a lot of PPR pass catching upside, so take that with a grain of salt. But he's playing Seattle this week. So this is one of those guys that is either on your bench or in your starting lineup, and you're kind of trying to decide whether I should start him or not. I would say the last 2 weeks against Baltimore, Denver, not great matchups for him. But in games where he's had easy matchups this year as the starter, he's had 31 and 19, both those games against Atlanta. But he's playing Seattle this week, and Seattle's they're just very not good defensively. Especially stopping the run. Really at anything defensively, to be honest with you. But they give up 25 points a game to tied for third easiest matchup among running backs in fantasy football. 25.1 points per game to the running back position. Sure, this is probably going to be like a 55, 45 split with whoever the backup is in this game. Because it's typically how they run it. But Foreman, when he's on the field, gets around 18 to 20 carries. I think against a bad run defense, the Panthers are going to say, let's run it. Let's run it and try to control the clock. And when that happens, Foreman will have a good game. Maybe you get a touchdown out of him, and that'll solve all your problems. So if you need to start this week, and you don't Kenneth Walker's out or Saquon Barkley's out, and you have Foreman on your bench, I would roll with Foreman this week. In buys and injury situations and stuff like that. So I think he's a good play. Rick, you can play devil's advocate if you want, because he is out on Donta Foreman in every context, everywhere I talk to him.
I mean, it's a good play for this week.
Okay.
As a plug and play. I will not personally start Deonta Foreman. I just want everyone to know that. So if he gets 5 points, and if he goes off, then I was just wrong about him. Fair enough. But
yeah.
I will say this past week, does it concern you that Chuba Hubbard, so Foreman did get 24 carries. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Chuba also got 17. So they ran the ball like 40 times this week.
Mm-hmm.
Against Seattle in a potential negative game script. Would you be concerned that Foreman doesn't get as much work?
Do we think it's going to be a negative game script?
Do you think? Well, I mean, I guess if you think Carolina is going to beat
Seattle is good. I
don't think Seattle's good.
I'm not saying Carolina is going to beat Seattle. I'm just saying I don't think Seattle's as good as we think they are.
I agree with you on that. But I think the Panthers are worse than the Seahawks are good.
Like I don't personally think, like, if they were playing Kansas City, who also is not a great run defense.
Oh, well, then the game would be 50-0.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is like, well, that's a little exaggerative, but it would
40,
still be
right, 40
it would still be a blowout. I just mean against Seattle, like how much is going to be a blowout? Like if they're within one score or maybe two scores, I still think they're going to run the football because it's their identity and they're trying to lose right now. So,
yeah, I guess that's fair.
But either way, yeah, I mean, I understand your hatred for Foreman. He's not good as a player.
I mean, he's had some good weeks.
But you give him.
He has had some good weeks.
Anybody who's in the NFL has talented enough to be there, most likely, right? And
sure.
If that's the case, and you're now giving this guy 20 carries a game, I mean, that's, it's a lot of opportunity that you're just missing out on there, bud.
Yeah, unless he gets 7.
All right. If he gets 7,
we had 7 in week 9.
We need some kind
against
of
the Bengals.
$10.
You'll give me $10?
Yeah, if Donta Foreman scores under 7 points.
Okay.
And if he scores over 7 points, what are you giving me?
Nothing.
This is a bet, bro. You got to have some collateral.
Oh, is it 7 points?
Yeah. Well, you just throw out 7 as the number, so.
I don't like that, dude. Because he can get some crappy goal line touchdown, so.
Yeah, it's whatever. I like Donta Foreman this week, though. Number 2 on this list is another kind of hard one considering the situations. But it's Jacoby Myers at Arizona. Myers great play early in the season. He had 10, 18, was injured for 2 weeks, and then 24, 10, 11, 21. Like, he was getting targets. He was catching touchdowns. He was doing all kinds of stuff earlier in the season. And then from week 9 on, he's had 7, 9, 9, and 5. So things ain't been looking up for Jacoby Myers. But Arizona sucks. Like, they are a complete hogwash catastrophe of a football team. Their defense is not good. And the Patriots have had a lot of success against really bad defenses. I am kind of in a situation where it's like it could either go horribly wrong for New England this week and they could lose, and their season would be basically in the tanker and everyone will probably give up, or they win the football game and things go well. But I think against Arizona, the offense will at least get some yardage and Jacoby should get some target share. And if that does happen, I think it's a good play this week. So I would start Jacoby Myers. But Rick, maybe you have more thoughts on Myers than you do about Foreman.
A little bit. I would say Myers is a very good play against Arizona. I believe, I'm going to double check, but I believe the Arizona. So against receivers, they're only ranked 16th, but against the pass, they're in the bottom 10 in the league. They have the worst red zone defense in the league.
Yeah.
The defense as a whole has not been good. So if there's a kind of a get-right game for the Patriots, after the Jets game, it was the Vikings. Now after Buffalo, this feels like a very good get-right spot, playing against an Arizona defense that is really bad, especially for the offense. For the offense, it's a very good get-right spot. The only thing about Myers that concerns me is right now he's in concussion protocol. I don't know if he's going to end up playing this week. He hasn't practiced at all. Now, if he weren't to play, I don't know if he would agree with this, but I wouldn't mind starting Devontae Parker, who has kind of been like the number 2 guy outside of Myers.
Okay.
Last couple of weeks, the targets haven't been there, but if Myers weren't to play, I think he would get a higher target share. His fantasy points this year have been not great, but he has had some good games. He had 20 against Baltimore, had a couple 10-point weeks against Green Bay, Cleveland, 9 against Chicago, 12 against Minnesota on Thanksgiving. So
the interesting thing is that, like Rick said, they're 16th, so they're middle of the pack in terms of fantasy points given up a game to the wide receiver position, but they're right around 27, which is really only like 1 point. I think it's like 1.8 fantasy points off of the number 9 team in fantasy points a game.
It's dark green for quarterbacks.
Yeah, so it's like this is going to be a good matchup. And so that's a good thing for Myers if he plays. I did forget that he was in concussion protocols. They do play on Monday, so I feel like there's a good chance. He doesn't really, at this point, practices don't mean anything in the NFL. Like, they're just kind of walking through game situations and they're not hitting each other and doing anything. So he can just plug and play right into the game as long as he's going to the meetings. The question is, does he clear protocols by Monday? They're going to Arizona too, right?
Yep.
So they'll probably travel Sunday, and you'll know by then. But as far as other options for the Patriots against Arizona, I don't know how many people roster Devontae Parker, and I don't know how many people roster Kendrick Bourne.
Aguilar.
Aguilar guy.
He had 18 against Minnesota.
Yikes. But I don't know who I would choose, because I would imagine that Kendrick Bourne should be the guy that comes in and plays the slot in place of Jacoby Myers. But knowing the New England Patriots and how they've treated Kendrick Bourne this year, probably not going to happen. So I don't mind your play of Devontae Parker.
It would be a deeper play, though. It's not like somebody I'm starting no matter what.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask, is there anyone else at the wide receiver position that you would start instead of Jacoby Myers? At this point in the year, knowing, or not this point in the year, at this point in the week, knowing that he has a concussion situation going
on. Well, like in the game, like on the Patriots, or just in general?
In general.
Well, I know there's going to be one guy that we're going to talk about next. At this point, I feel like you're probably starting him no matter what, but like you could say Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
he's with Mike White. Even in a tough matchup against Buffalo,
mm-hmm.
I think they're going to force feed him the ball with Mike White.
You just love yourself some Garrett.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look at some of the rankings, but
yeah. I don't mind Nico Collins if Brandon Cooks is still out. Is he out too? I'm gonna be pissed off if he's out. Everyone's out this week.
Brandon Collins, Brandon Cooks or Nico Collins?
Nico Collins. He's in, right?
I don't think Nico is out. I think Brandon Cooks has been battling
he didn't
an
practice
injury.
Friday though. Good news.
Well, I like Collins if Cooks is out.
Yeah. Well,
if Cooks is in,
he's been all right.
Oh yeah, Nico Collins is injured, bro.
Yeah. Everyone's hurt. I just can't.
He might not play on Sunday. He's questionable.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Here, I got you, bro. Hold on. Let's see. I like Adam Thielen against the Lions.
It's so gross, but I don't disagree.
Yikes. The matchups this week are kind of gross.
Yeah. It's
George Pickens bounced back against Baltimore. Book that one.
Oh god. I do think that's actually a good start against Baltimore. George Pickens would be a great start. He was a guy that I was thinking about for the starts and sit show. So
he was mad this week. He only had 2 targets.
Always mad.
Usually when a team's top receiver does that and he gets pissed, in the first quarter of the next game, it'll be in the team's game plan to get him going early. So they'll throw a couple quick passes to him, get him going. Could have a big week.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the final guy who Rick and I both firmly agree on is Jerry Jeudy versus KC. Now, originally it was Courtland Sutton, but Sutton is dealing with some problems with injury as well. And I actually wanted to put Jerry Jeudy first, but I felt like that was a risky move. So I'll take Jerry Jeudy versus Kansas City. This is going to be a tough game to watch. So I would suggest putting Jerry Jeudy in your starting lineup and then just not looking at it. Don't watch the game. It's going to be boring and scary. But Jerry Jeudy over the last couple years, my brain's not functioning today. The last couple weeks has had, when he's played, has had 16, 16, and 10. So he's been getting decent target share and good opportunity. The last week he played against Baltimore, he had 4 targets, 4 catches, which is not great. But without Courtland
he
Sutton,
only had a 38% snap percentage.
Did he get hurt? Oh my God! I swear.
No. He was. They're easing him back into.
Oh, all right. He still got 10 points. There you go, Jerry. So I do think that this guy's going to come in, and without Courtland Sutton, there's probably going to be an opportunity where he gets like 8 to 10 targets. And if he catches, 6, 7 passes, he's going to have a really good game on the week against KC. I wouldn't rely on a touchdown. Because
Jerry Jeudy's been so weird.
That's something that the Denver Broncos don't do very often.
No, it isn't. And he was one of like quote unquote my guys in the offseason. So it's kind of it's a little bit of a homer take, I guess. But he's actually had a good season, fantasy point wise. He has had a good season. The problem is he's had 2 games this year where he got hurt in like the first play of the game and was out for the rest of the game. So it screwed his fantasy numbers on a week-to-week basis. But if you were to take those 2 games out, he's had 23, which sucked, 15, 8, 8, 16, 18, 10. So most of those weeks, double-digit points. He's like he's a pretty solid wide receiver too when he's actually playing and healthy. So this week, hopefully healthy, he is playing against Kansas City, which is a good matchup. No Courtland Sutton, so he should have a high target share.
Yeah.
I actually think it's a good play. Now it's Jerry Jeudy, so he could break his leg in the second quarter and you're screwed. But I do think it's a good play. I want to say, I was going to say if Sutton missed time at some point this year, I thought he did, but I guess he didn't. But either way, Jeudy, in the games that he's played in, again, his target share 7, 6, 5, which isn't good, 8, 7, 11, 7 in the games that he's played full games in.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So he's gotten targets, he's gotten fantasy points. It's just a matter of him staying on the field, which I think he will. And in a good matchup with that Sutton, he should get, I would assume, like 8 to 10 targets this week.
Yeah. I would like to mention, too, the Kansas City Chiefs give up 31.4 points a game to the wide receiver position.
Trash time points.
Trash time points. I would say, too, there's no one at receiver. Like, if it was Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, I would be like, okay, this is a good matchup. You can go with either guy. But now that, one of them is out, who is he going to throw the ball to at the wide receiver position? Jerry Jeudy. So, yeah. I mean, I don't expect the wide receiver position to score 31 against KC, considering how bad Denver is. But I do think that they could be in the 20 range, and 15 of those could be Jerry Jeudy. So I like him this week. Let's move to some sits on the week. Rick, why don't you give us 12 reasons why Juju Smith-Schuster at Denver is a bad play?
Juju's tough, man, dude. Like, he was another guy that we really liked in the offseason. And he's had his moments. Mm-hmm. He has had his moments. He had that nice little stretch there in the middle of the year. But he just hasn't taken over the role as, like, the top receiver on that team. He's been battling some injuries the last couple weeks. And this past week, I was all in on Juju against Cincinnati. I thought it was a great matchup. Mm-hmm. He was fully healthy. He was going to get a normal snap percentage. It felt like this was the week where he could get a 20-point week. Mm-hmm. And he had 4 targets. And he had 6 fantasy points again. So it's just like, the player is inconsistent. The way they use him is kind of inconsistent. And then you add in the fact that he's playing in Denver. I wouldn't be surprised if they put Patrick Surtain on him. Although Juju plays the slot, so I don't know if they actually will. But either way, Denver, believe it or not, because they are one of the worst teams in the NFL, they're a bottom 3 team right now in the NFL, have a top 5 defense in the league. So I wouldn't think this game is going to be necessarily a shootout, even though Kansas City will win, and they'll probably win pretty easily. I don't think this is a game where Mahomes throws 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think it's going to be more of a controlled game. They'll run the ball. They will have a touchdown or 2 with Mahomes because they always
get in and out of there with a dub.
But they're going to get in and out of there with a dub. You'll probably see a Travis Kelce touchdown or something like that. But I don't think this is a week where Juju goes off. That defense is really good, and he's just too inconsistent at this point to start on a week-to-week basis, unless you have no other choices. But for someone like us who have him in the tough league, he's going to be on our bench this week.
I'm gonna roll with him in the fantasy in the home league.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I don't got another option, so.
Well, yeah, if you don't have another option.
Listen. All right, here are the options. Juju Smith-Schuster or Kadarius Toney.
Probably Juju.
Juju Smith-Schuster or Nico Collins.
I would highly consider. Well, you know what? So let's say Nico plays and Brandon Cooks is out. Perfect case scenario. He's going to have Trayvon Diggs on him.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Juju Smith-Schuster or Isaiah Pacheco?
I might lean Pacheco there.
You got me thinking.
Pacheco.
You got me thinking.
That's a tough matchup for him, though, too, but I feel like...
But I was going to say, Denver Broncos have given up the least amount of fantasy points to the wide receiver position on the season.
That's not good.
In the Chiefs' new system, new operation here, they throw it to everybody. So, it wasn't just 2 players. It's now 3 or 4 different players. Now, we're still dealing with some injury situation for... Mecole Hardman. Kadarius Toney is currently questionable, and he's still got some hamstring issues. So, he might be out. MVS still is there, but Juju should be getting a pretty big target share, especially with some of these guys that have been out, and he just hasn't. So last week he had 4 targets. The week before he had 3 targets, only 38% of the snaps. Probably they were easing him back in. But this week going up against Denver is it's a really tough matchup. And I would think that they should get him the ball a lot, and they're the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's if you're the number 1 receiver, half the receiving core is hurt, and you're going into the game, I would normally be like, all right, this is a good play. But it's against Denver, who's tough, and he doesn't get target share for whatever reason. So I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I would sit Juju this week if you can. If you can't, then that obviously blows for you, like myself, who has to choose between Pacheco and Juju.
But you're already in the playoffs, so who cares?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get a bye week here, guy.
Yeah, you ain't getting the bye week. Derek Carr already screwed you over.
Who knows? Maybe I will. You just watch.
Who are you playing?
Christian.
Oh yeah, no, never mind. You could get it.
All right, let's talk about the second sit, which is Rachaad White at San Francisco. Now, White has been really good, and he's kind of starting to edge towards, especially if Fournette's not in, edge towards a situation where he could be startable on a week-to-week basis, but I'm still scared. He hasn't shown enough since becoming the starter to be like, all right, I definitively want to start him. And one thing that I've noticed is that without Leonard Fournette in the games, who they ease back in this week, he's been getting target share, 9 targets, 8 targets. And when he's getting targeted, if you're catching 6 passes a game as a running back, you're giving yourself a solid base floor for the rest of it. And that is really what's gotten him to 19 and 16 the last 2 weeks. Now, Rick will probably inform me about the Leonard Fournette situation, but San Francisco is another one of those tough run defenses, 12 points a game to the running back position. So if you have White, right, normally I would say, like, if it was against New England or if it was against Dallas or it was against Tennessee, some of the other tougher performances, like matchups, I would probably be like, maybe you can roll them out. This defense has been ridiculously good against the run. They've made it really hard. And I think it's going to be a football game where Brady is probably going to have to throw it a little more than normal, which typically happens. Maybe he'll dump it off to the running back a lot and get him a lot of points, but I don't think he scores a touchdown. I don't think he gets a ton of yardage. It looks like with playoff Lenny back, Rachaad White is relegated to just a mostly pass catching role. But the question is, does Lenny play this week? And if he doesn't, that might be better for Rachaad White, but I still don't like the matchup. I still don't like the situation with the 49ers. And I think it's a tough play this week, especially if you're going for your fantasy playoff spot and you're like, Rachaad White's been getting me a lot of points. I would say to sit Rachaad White just for this week. The rest of it, like Cincinnati, Arizona, Carolina, like, I like all those matchups for him, and I think he's great. But just for this week, hold off, be patient, sit him.
Yeah, I think you make all valid points. And as someone who has Rachaad White in the home league, even though I'm technically not eliminated, but I am eliminated.
Yeah.
But I have a decision of whether I should start him or not. And right now he's on my bench. Playing against San Francisco, it's just such a hard match. That is by far the best defense in the league against running backs. And even in general, they're easily a top 3, top 5 defense in the league. So it's really hard for me to say to start him, especially with Fournette potentially playing. Mm-hmm. Now, Fournette does miss this week because he didn't practice on Friday. So he's going to be questionable.
Yeah.
It looks like going into the game. So if he plays, I'm out on White. If he doesn't play, I still don't love it, but I would start him because of his passing game work. Mm-hmm. I think he would probably get like 5 or 6 catches, which in PPR leagues will be good enough to start. He would be good enough to start. If he gets like an 80% snap percentage, gets like 15 carries, and gets 5 or 6 catches, it doesn't matter if he gets going to suck with that opportunity. He will probably still get double-digit fantasy points for you. So I would probably consider starting him if Fournette is out. Like I know in my league, I will probably start him if Fournette is out. Okay. If Fournette is in, he'll be on my bench.
Okay, sounds good. And the final guy, really easy, Daniel Jones versus Philadelphia. This is a big no-go. Like, there's been some games to stream Daniel Jones this year.
He was on the show start of the week, and he got like 20-something points.
Yep. This week, no. Philadelphia, 11.7 points. This is going to be one of those bend over, we're going to give you a little spanking game for Philadelphia, and they're going to teach the Giants who they really are. And Daniel
on the Eagles train.
Daniel Jones will probably, I would guess, get sub 11 fantasy points, which is how many fantasy points the Eagles give up a game at quarterback, 11.7. This is going to be a tough game for Daniel Jones, even if he provides some rushing. Like, Not going to be a lot of scoring opportunities for him. Not going to be a lot of opportunities for him to score a ton of fantasy points. This is an easy sit for me. Like, don't start Danny Dimes against Philadelphia because all he'll be doing is throwing dimes to the defense.
Yeah. No, I don't love it either. This is a tough, especially like the Giants right now where they are, where they don't have anyone. It's Darius Slayton, and then it's like Richie James, and who else? This is it David Stills?
Yeah, Kenny Golladay is like 6th.
Kenny Golladay isn't even in the starting lineup. He's in the doghouse. They traded away Kadarius Toney. Sterling Shepard tore his Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
So there's tight end David Bellinger tore his ACL.
Yep.
So they have nobody. They literally have no. It's Saquon, and he is the entire offense, and maybe Darius Slayton a little bit.
He might be out too,
and he might be out. So Daniel Jones is going to be running with like a chicken with its head cut off against the Eagles in that defense. So not a good start. He's probably not even going to be in my top 20 quarterbacks when I do my rankings. We'll see, but stay away from Daniel Jones.
That's an easy one, but I feel like there's some people out there that would.
He's had a good year. He's QB 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
But there's definitely people who would be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to ride with Danny Dimes this week. I got no other options.
Dude, watch Daniel Jones throw 3 touchdowns in the Giants beat the Eagles.
Oh, my God. That would be ridiculous.
It's Danny Dimes season.
All right, there you go. Starts and sits. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Enjoy your weekend. I really, really sincerely hope you make the playoffs. Unless you're in one of my leagues, then I hope you fail. See you later, guys.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.